Hello, everyone from Paris and Roland Garros. We welcome you back to our Olympic Tennis Daily. I'm Christopher Clarey, former tennis writer of the New York Times. I'm now a full-time author who wrote The Master on Federer and working on a book out next year called The Warrior on Nadal.
Bonjour Chris, bonjour à tous. I'm Romain Vinot, tennis journalist, your French accent during the Olympics, and today your official sun creamer supplier.
That's good. Well, you know what? Your French accent's great, but the one that really counted in the last part of the day-to-day was a British accent or a Scottish accent, because let me tell you, I just came back from the court. If I'm a little bit out of breath, that's why. And absolutely extraordinary scenes again for the not yet retired Andy Murray and his doubles partner, Dan Evans. They again saved what I call career points. They're match points, but again, Evans and Murray, they saved 5 the other night in their first round, 5 in a row in the match tiebreaker. And tonight they had to save 2 more in another match tiebreaker. This one against Gilles Vliegen of Belgium, you know, a very good doubles team, and amazing. I think it feels like destiny at this point. And on one of the match points, the second one, Andy Murray was returning, and his return actually clipped the net. It just ticked the net. Another few centimeters or an inch or so lower, and his career was over. But it ticked, and it created an error by the opposition, and then they put it away with the Dan Evans overhead. And I thought, you know, Andy Murray had a bad back, which he does, and has artificial hip, which he does. But the man got some air. I can tell you, he got some air in the celebration. He was up off the clay pretty high several times. And I felt like, you know, he and Dan Evans, you know, maybe need to move in together, because they're just hugging like crazy. It's amazing how much is going on with them in terms of their emotions and all these beautiful feelings they're sharing on the court. I think Evans even kissed Murray at one point after they won the match. So I'm still kind of processing it all, but it was just such an extraordinary thing. That Long Glen Court, where Nadal and Alcaraz had won and played earlier in the match before, was only about half full at the end of the match, but it was incredibly loud. It was almost all Brits in there with all the Union Jacks, and it's so great to see in a way. I'm sorry for Vliegen and Gilles, but just to see that kind of emotion from a guy like Murray, who's been a great champion, who's had such a hard time in the last couple of years, kind of struggling with his body, and to have this kind of whatever happens from here. I mean, he's saved 7 career points. He's had amazing emotions. They were high-fiving the entire British delegation up in the front row of the Long Glen Court, and it's just, you can just see the joy and the fulfillment in his face, and it's great. It's great to see.
Yeah, it's like Chris, it's like at every match he just said not today, and on his face it's amazing to see the joy, the rage during the match, and yeah, you saw that on the ground. So yeah, it was amazing again, and we hope to see Andy quick on the court, because it's a really nice story during this Olympics.
Well, we're going to come back to the doubles a bit later in the show, Romain, but
yes,
we should say, as you said, when we talked about the sun cream and all that, it was a day that felt to me more like the Australian Open or the Olympics, you know, down under, as opposed to here. There were misters and sprinklers on at Roland Garros. There were ice vests on the court, red faces. There were heat breaks. I was in the mix zone where the players come and meet the reporters afterward, and Jack Draper came in. It looked literally like he had just taken a dive in a pond or a pool somewhere. His clothes were that wet, drip, drip, drip. But they're definitely, the big splashes of today were nearly all in the women's singles draw. Actually, there were 2 big upsets. Yes. First of all, in the opening match of the day on the Chatrier court, where number 2 Coco Gauff, many people's favorite to reach the final in the bottom half of the draw, including yours truly, thought that was going to happen. But she was beaten by Donna Vekic 7-6, 6-2 in a match that turned testy and teary for Coco Gauff in the second set because of a line call argument she had with the chair umpire, and some really emotional scenes from Coco there. And then on the Long Glen court, a couple hours later, number 4 seed Jasmine Paolini, who's been on a big roll the last couple of months with finals at the French Open and Wimbledon, was really surprised by Anna Karolina Schmiedlova in a match that was 7-5, 3-6, 7-5, very tight. Romain, you were watching the end of that one. What did you see?
Yeah, this match lasted no less than 2 hours, 31 minutes. But you know, Chris, it wasn't the longest in the women's draw, as we had 3 hours, 12 minutes, 2 hours, 49 minutes, and 2 hours, 48 minutes.
Wow.
It was a big day on the women's draw on the Roland Garros clay court in the warm sunshine today. So it was really hard for all the players. But the Paolini Schmiedlova match was indeed a roller coaster, like you said in English. I hope I pronounce well. The Italian finalist at Roland Garros and Wimbledon was obviously, like you said, one of the favorites of this tournament. But we knew, sorry, before the match that it wouldn't be easy today against a player who returned very well and whose physical qualities are very different from Paolini's. And you know, during the match there were no fewer than 15 breaks, and it was very difficult to predict who would win during the third set. But given Paulini's energy, as you know, she served to win the match at 5-4 in the third. We thought she was going to get away with it, like in Wimbledon or in Roland Garros, but it was not the end of the match. And you know, her opponent seemed to be not in great physically, looking very pale, looking at she was close to fainting at the end of the match, but she found the resources to make a final break and win 3 games in a row to reach the quarterfinals. It was an incredible scenario, sad for Paolini, but really cool for Schmiedlova, of course. And I think, like you said, there was just about energy and fatigue, Chris, not controversy for this one.
Yeah, the controversy was in the Coco Gauff match against Donna Vekic. And obviously, it took a little bit of the focus off of Vekic. You're going to talk about Donna in a few minutes, but the match really was the talking point of the day for all those who didn't stick around for the end of the Murray match we just talked about. But yeah, I mean, Coco really lost it. There was in the second set, obviously she was already down a set, but in the second set she ended up playing a ground stroke off a ball that was called out late. She missed the shot. It was corrected by the line umpire to being good, and the chair umpire confirmed that and ruled that Gauff already had hit the shot and missed it, and therefore she would deserve to lose the point. So it was a big point. It gave Vekic an advantage in the second set as well, and Coco just couldn't let go of it, and she really felt like the call of out had hindered her shot, and that this point should be replayed, and she didn't back down. She was in tears at times. She called for the supervisor. She talked, at length with the chair umpire, and I think she was triggered in part by the fact that this had happened to her, something similar in the French Open this year against Iga Świątek on the same court, the Chatrier court, and that had gone against her as well. And so she had some pretty strong words, during the match. She was saying to the supervisor, Claire Wood, "I feel like I'm getting cheated on constantly in this game. It happens to me. It happened to Serena." That was a reference to Serena Williams having altercations with Carlos Ramos at the U.S. Open in 2018 and having some incorrect line calls against her that actually led to Hawkeye being used at times. So she really was obviously really rattled and really insistent on pushing her case. And ultimately, when we talked to her afterward, what she really wants is video replay for calls like this. And it's true. The Olympics here at Roland Garros, like a lot of clay tournaments until very recently, are not using Hawkeye for line calling and overruling. The ATP Tour is going to put automatic, electronic line calling in place, live line calling, I think next season. So it's going to be changing all over the place. But for now, there's still these loopholes in place. And the U.S. Open last year began to use a video review system, kind of like VAR, where they would look at all these different things that could happen, like a double bounce or a hindrance call. None of that's in place yet. Obviously, Coco's a big advocate And honestly, I don't want to judge it too much because obviously I can't be in Coco's shoes or in Coco's mind. But people, when you watch it over again, the call does appear to come after the ball has left her racket. You can argue that the follow through on her shot was hindered by it, and maybe that created a different trajectory, and or the fact that she thought the ball was out, as you were saying, Romain. But it definitely, according to the letter of the law, I think the chair umpire had a reasonable call to make. I kind of would like to see them really go benefit of the doubt to the player in that situation. He didn't do that. He followed what his instincts were, but it created a real problem. And Coco ended up losing from there. Didn't win another game, and it definitely rattled her. And she was still very emotional in the mixed zone afterward. But what do you think, Romain? Do you think there should be a video review on all surfaces eventually in tennis, like there is in other sports?
I think it's always great when you, I don't know, when you help player to be happy and focus on tennis during a match, and that's why Coco just go out of the game during maybe 3 4 minutes, and even after she was in tears, and yeah, it was hard to look, but it's I think it was heartbreaking defeat for her, and yeah, maybe it will be good to have some tools to just reduce that kind of situation, and yeah. So after the match, Coco was still in tears. It was really perturbating for her. So yeah,
Yeah, and
you saw her in the mixed zone, Chris. So
yeah, Romain, we should say too. I mean, this is Coco's first Olympics. She's 20
yeah,
years old.
yes,
She carried the flag on the boat with LeBron James. Been a huge amount of focus on her as one of the leaders of the U.S. team, both the tennis team and the overall Olympic team. It's a lot to carry, and I think a lot of that bubbled forward. And I think she was legitimately a medal favorite here in the singles, not the gold medal favorite. That's Iga Swiatek, who did win again today, but she was definitely a medal favorite. So hard to take.
yeah.
But there were some
Yes.
other results today that were not upsets, but were still very interesting. What else did you see?
Yeah, so we talk about Vekic, of course, and it's for her it's great because it's only the second Croatian player to reach the women's single quarterfinals at the Olympic tennis event after Iva Majoli, who reached the quarters in 1996. So it's big too for a country for the Croatian people, and it was great to Marta Kostyuk too, because she defeats Maria Sakkari in a long game to become the second Ukrainian player, woman or man, to reach the single quarterfinals at the Olympics. And she just said that, and I have to share with you. She said, I actually feel even more motivated because I don't have this pressure of points, ranking, money. Here you really come out and play with your heart. And is that resume the Olympics
Yeah,
mind
it
of the
sums
player.
it sums it up. Absolutely, it does. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah. And another Ukrainian just lost, Elina Svitolina. It was a big match too, and despite a very good match against Wimbledon champion Barbara Krejcikova, the Tokyo bronze medalist lost, and Krejcikova will play Schmiedlova in quarters, and I think it will be a great match to follow. And Chris, I know that you followed a lot Angelique Kerber's match, in particular today, before interviewing her and writing about her incredible adventure. Can you just
Yeah,
make
I
a
mean,
resume? Yeah.
absolutely. And I just wanted to say quickly too, we shouldn't forget, Donna Vekic today. That was a long break when Coco was arguing about that
Yeah.
line call, and she had to keep her focus. And she's had some tough times at Roland Garros recently with an early round loss with match points that she couldn't convert earlier this year. And she showed a lot of fortitude to close that match out the way she did. And Angelique Kerber has shown a tremendous amount of fortitude as well. I mean, she announced her retirement from tennis after this tournament was coming, and then she was going to play one more time, and she's playing the women's doubles, which she lost today. But in singles, she is rolling. She has won 3 rounds. She had lost 4 matches in a row coming in here. And I think, as she said to me today and other people, she said basically the decision that she made to sort of stop has really liberated her. She's playing very freely. She's 36 years old, like Andy Murray, and just I think just enjoying the process. And honestly, there were some shots today that just flashed back to vintage Kerber with her running forehands down the line in the corners, her signature shot, and she's covering court very well and just looks very composed and very settled out there on the court. And it was a tough condition day, as you said, very, very hot.
Yes.
And Leylah Fernandez, her opponent today, is a very tough opponent. But Angie was able to get through that 6-4, 6-3. And we also have, Danielle Collins from the U.S., from my country, who's playing very, very well and won today against Camila Osorio of Colombia. And Danielle, who was a big threat on any surface, as she's proved all season, and this is her last year as well. It's not her last tournament, but her last year. She will play Iga Swiatek in a pretty heavyweight match tomorrow.
Yes.
But we should talk about the doubles a little bit, Romain, because
yes, of course.
Murray and Evans were not the only ones. What else was out there today?
Oh, maybe Alcaraz Nadal. Yeah, just maybe. I guess you want to talk about that. Yeah, once again, it was amazing to see both on court, and it's pretty crazy because whether in the media center, in the alleys, or in the stand, people were talking about doubles at least as much as the singles. And when you look at the lineup, the rhythm of the matches, and the great players taking part in this competition, you realize just how important double is. When you see Rafa and Carlitos and Andy and even Jasmine Paolini and Sarah Ioani this evening, when you see just their faces, their emotions, it's just very, very important for them and for the public too. So yeah, they won today again in the super tiebreak, and we will see them once again, Chris.
Yeah, we should say who they beat. They beat Talon Griekspoor and Wesley Koolhof, which is a very good team from the Netherlands. They don't play together all the time, but they have a lot of double skills. Koolhof's one of the best doubles players in the world. And Alcaraz and Nadal, with a huge crowd full to the rafters on Longlen, they won the first set 6-4, and then they lost the second set in a tiebreaker. And Koolhof hit a couple of amazing shots in that tiebreaker, including a lob over Nadal that landed on the sideline. Nadal applauded him. So it looked like they might have lost the momentum there, the Spaniards, but no, they came back out and won the first 5 points of the tiebreaker, super tiebreaker, or match tiebreaker, and then they just took over the match and closed it out 10-2. And they really played at a very high level at times, and they just have so much chemistry, this intergenerational thing going on. And we should come back to the doubles issue tomorrow or the day after and talk some more about it. But tonight we're a little low on time, but we should definitely discuss just the beauty of it in the Olympic setting, and also what maybe could translate to other tournaments as well. But tomorrow's schedule, looking at what's going on, we have Alcaraz is in for a busy day because he's playing singles. He's facing Roman Safiullin, who beat him at the Paris Open last year in their only previous match, but certainly will be favored against Safiullin on this surface and the way he's playing. And then he and Nadal are back in doubles again in the quarterfinals against doubles specialists. So it's sort of singles specialists from Spain against doubles specialists from the USA, Austin Krajicek and Rajiv Ram. And Ram has won a lot of big titles in his career. So that'll be a very tough test for Nadal Alcaraz. So I think it's going to be a day of watching him, and I think there's going to be a couple of other good men's matches. Real quickly, Romain, you want to give us a couple to look at?
Yes, we have to keep a look on the outside courts, of course, because Lorenzo Musetti is a jet setter, like we said a few days ago. Will be on the 14 against Fritz, and after that. Another USA team, Gauff Pegula and Fritz Paul, have to play. A very busy day for Fritz too, Chris, tomorrow.
Yeah, Taylor Fritz has got 3 matches tomorrow.
Yeah.
And Andy Murray and Dan Evans potentially could play Taylor Fritz in their next match. But Fritz and Paul, the American team, good buddies, didn't get to play today. They play Rozier and Haase tomorrow to decide who will face Evans and Murray in their next match.
Yes.
So lots to predict, but so we're going to get you back into the ITF's game, the World Tennis Predictor game. You have to choose a winner from 3 Olympic matches each day. If you make the most correct picks at the end of the event, you will win some fabulous prizes. So tomorrow's 3. We've talked about some of them already. Alcaraz and Nadal against Krejcik and Rahm is the first. Kostyuk against Vekic is the second. And Sebastian Baez against Stefanos Tsitsipas. The winner of that could face Novak Djokovic if Novak Djokovic wins his match tomorrow against Dominic Kupfer. But now we're on to, my opinion, the most important part of the day. This is your French tennis lesson for all of us. So Romain, I'm turning it over to you.
Yeah, there will be a Frenchman in the third round of the singles following Jan Lennart's truth withdrawal today, and it's Corentin Moutet, the underarm serves specialist, Chris. And do you know how to pronounce that shot, the underarm serve, in French? We have to say service à la cuillère, literally spoon serve. I will have to teach the expression to Alexander Bublik, of course, because he is a specialist too.
Yeah, ESPN just released a documentary in the U.S. on one of the great Cinderella sports stories, Michael Chang's 1989 victory at the French Open at Roland Garros when he was 17 years old. And the most famous shot, as you know, Romain, from that run was his spoon serve against Ivan Lendl in the 4th round. I talked to Michael last week for my newsletter, Tennis and Beyond, and Michael was cramping, he said, obviously, in that match against Lendl. And he said it was the first spoon serve he ever tried in his career and the last spoon serve he ever tried in his career. So he's 1 for 1. But now the spoon stuff's everywhere.
Yeah, and tomorrow on the Suzanne Lenglen, because Moutet will face Tommy Paul at noon. So, yeah, maybe Corentin Moutet will make a lot of service à la cuillère tomorrow.
There we go. Well, we'll all be watching. There's so much tennis coming tomorrow as this Olympic tournament moves toward its climax day by day. Great to be with you all. Thanks for listening, and good night.
À demain.